What does a flashing yellow light mean? A. Proceed with caution. B. Yield. C. Stop. D. Watch out for pedestrians. What does a flashing yellow light mean? A. Proceed with caution. A flashing yellow light is used to warn drivers of potential hazards or changes in the road up ahead. This could include a traffic signal at the next intersection, a pedestrian crosswalk, or other reasons why you may need to slow down. When you see a flashing yellow light, you should slow down and be prepared to react to what's ahead. This may mean you need to slow down even more or come to a complete stop. At an intersection, you can think of a flashing yellow light as a yield sign. With any turning vehicle, the rear wheels follow a what, then the front wheels. A. Equal path. B. Slower path. C. Shorter path. D. Longer path. With any turning vehicle, the rear wheels follow a C. Shorter path, than the front wheels. The rear wheels of a turning vehicle will follow a shorter path compared to the front wheels. The longer the vehicle or the longer the wheelbase, the greater the difference will be. The main reason why it is important for drivers to know this fact is when driving behind or next to large trucks, buses, and other large vehicles. If you are in the intersection when the light turns red, A. Make a U-turn. B. Stop until the light turns green. C. Reverse back behind the limit line. D. Proceed through when traffic clears. If you are in the intersection when the light turns red, D. Proceed through when traffic clears. If you are already in the intersection when the light turns red, you should proceed through the intersection when it is safe to do so. The most common time you'll find yourself in this situation is when you have entered the intersection and are waiting to make an unprotected left turn. In situations where there is a constant flow of traffic approaching from the opposite direction, you may not have a chance to turn until the light changes. When can you drive in a bike lane? A. Always. B. Never. C. Within 500 feet of a right turn. D. Within 200 feet of a right turn. When can you drive in a bike lane? D. Within 200 feet of a right turn. Bike lanes are marked areas on the right side of the road that are designated for bicycles only. Vehicles are not permitted to park inside or otherwise block a bike lane. Drivers are allowed to drive in a bike lane when it is necessary to cross over it in order to make a right turn at the next intersection. You may not drive for more than 200 feet inside of the bike lane before the turn. At night, it is hardest to see. A. Road signs. B. Other vehicles. C. Pedestrians. D. Lane markings. At night, it is hardest to see. C. Pedestrians. When you are driving at night, the most difficult thing to see is typically pedestrians walking alongside the road. Compared to road signs, other vehicles, and lane markings, pedestrians will often lack reflective pieces of clothing, lights, and other things that can make them easier to see. If you are driving along a road at night where pedestrians are walking, you should use your high beams if there are no other vehicles nearby. A triangular orange sign on the rear of a vehicle indicates that A. It is a vehicle that is carrying hazardous material. B. It is a slow-moving vehicle. C. It is an HOV vehicle. D. It is driven by a student driver. A triangular orange sign on the rear of a vehicle indicates that B. It is a slow-moving vehicle. An orange triangular sign is fixed to the rear of a vehicle to indicate a slow-moving vehicle. Slow-moving vehicles displaying these types of signs cannot travel faster than 25 miles per hour. If you are parked or stopped at the curb and you want to pull out into a traffic lane, you should A. Pull back into the road as quickly as possible. B. Turn on your signal and wait for a large enough gap in traffic. C. Turn on your signal and pull out since the other cars must yield to you. D. Wait until traffic has a red light at the nearest intersection. If you are parked or stopped at the curb and you want to pull out into a traffic lane, you should B. turn on your signal and wait for a large enough gap in traffic. Whenever you're pulling back into traffic from a parking spot, it is your responsibility to yield the right-of-way to traffic on the road and merge safely. If it is difficult for you to see the traffic in the road, be sure to pull forward as slowly as possible until you are able to see approaching vehicles or bikes. You are required to yield to traffic that is already in the road. You are not allowed to park within how many feet of an intersection? A. 20 feet. B. 30 feet. C. 40 feet. D. 50 feet. You are not allowed to park within A. 20 feet of an intersection. You are not allowed to park and leave your vehicle within 20 feet of the nearest intersection. You are only allowed to park and leave your car where it is legal and safe to do so. You must look for no parking signs, painted curbs, and refer to your state's parking laws to make sure that you are parking in a place where it is permitted. When driving in rain, the road becomes the most slippery. A. A day after it has rained. B. Right before it starts to rain. C. During the first hour of rain. D. During the first 10 to 15 minutes of rain. When driving in rain, the road becomes the most slippery. D. During the first 10 to 15 minutes of rain. Rainy and wet conditions add more hazards to every type of situation on the road. The road will be more slick and visibility will be reduced. The start of a rainstorm tends to be when the road's surface is the most slippery. During the first 10 to 15 minutes of rain, oil that has been on the surface of the road and absorbed by the asphalt will mix with the rain. This makes for a more slippery surface than after the rain washes most of the oil away. Striking a fixed object at 60 miles per hour is the same as falling from a 10-story building. B. 5-story building. C. 2-story building. D. 1-story building. Striking a fixed object at 60 miles per hour is the same as falling from a 10-story building. Hitting a stationary object at a speed of 60 miles per hour has an equivalent force impact as falling from a 10-story building, or a height of over 100 feet. Speeding and reckless driving will greatly increase the force of an impact in the event of a crash. Great job! Here are some of your next steps to getting your learner's permit or driver's license. Read and study the official driver handbook from your state DMV. Take more free practice tests at puedomanejar.com. Gather all your necessary forms and documents before you visit the DMV office. Before you know it, you'll be driving in your very own car all by yourself. puedomanejar.com. Free DMV practice tests and much more to help you pass your real exams. Visit us today.